New video time. Guys, I am Yard Offside FM, and it is very nice to see you again. This is episode 2 of Giants of Istanbul, my Football Manager 2017 Let's Play series as Galatasaray in the Turkish Super League. So guys, we have moved on in preseason with some of our friendlies since that Brentford game that we brought to you in the last game. And we have gotten as far as the Turkish Super Cup, which is sort of the opening game of the Turkish domestic season. We'll be taking on Beşiktaş, a huge local rival from Istanbul. We won the Turkish Cup last season in 2016. This is, of course, before I was the manager. And Beşiktaş were the league champions. So we'll be hoping to do a number on them today, guys. The board have told me that they don't really value the Super Cup as a competition, but honestly, I sort of do. I'd really like to get a result here and sort of stamp my authority by bringing home some silverware. When I have done team talks or when I've provided individual instructions in-game, guys, some of the players have told me that I lack credibility, which is understanding given that I've been in charge for 4 meaningless games. But I'm hoping that with a little bit of trophy, that'll help sort of improve my reputation. And we have actually made a transfer as well, guys. You'll remember last episode I was talking about waiting for some scouting reports to come in, and some have come in. I've decided to purchase Ramon Mota, who's a Brazilian. He played for Antalyaspor last season. Let's bring up his information about his club history. As you can see, played for Brazilian teams, he being a Brazilian, for most of his career. He was with Brazilian teams, and was purchased by none other than Beşiktaş in, looks like that was 2013. Actually, it looks like he secured a loan move first before moving there permanently the next season from Corinthians, right. So I'm hoping that Mota can do a job for us. He at 1.2 million, as you can see there, guys. I think I may have overpaid a little bit for him, but in the end, I paid less for Mota than I did than the money I received for Lionel Carroll, who you'll remember was the left back that we sold. Actually, where do I want to go? I want to go to Coach Report. As you can see here, he does possess great speed. He can play a couple positions on the left side, which is good. I purchased him with the intention to use him as an inverted wingback, which, as you can see here, guys, plays pretty well. And my assistant is telling me that Mota is my best option at left back. This is one of the major benefits, by the way, of bringing in Mota, is I felt like Carroll was not quite the player that I needed at that inverted wingback role. Certainly an unusual role, I admit that. But I definitely think Mota is an improvement at that position. As you can see, not stellar attributes, but certainly not bad. And I really just need him to do a job there and to be sound, to clog up the middle, to make tackles and dispossess people. It's really the responsibility of the defensive wingers in our tactic to do most of the creating. And that means Podolski and Linus, at least for the next upcoming game. But we'll talk about our team tactics as we get closer to that game, guys. There's a few things I do want to address before we get into that. The first is I've had some less than ideal interactions with my board president, Dursun Aydin Özbek. I've put in requests for a couple things. Chiefly, I asked for youth facilities to be improved. It's not letting me scroll down. Oh, lovely. Okay. Well, if you could see down further, his response is, sorry, the club's financial situation is too dire. We can't afford to upgrade the facilities. And that's unfortunate, guys, because I really do see the long-term solution for Galatasaray in our youth scouting and in our youth development. Because we, especially given that we've just spent our entire budget on this sort of adequate left back, we now have a transfer budget of 0. So that's how bad this situation is. For a team as huge as Galatasaray, it's sort of mind-boggling when you think about it. But I mean, look at the projected balance. We're going to be 95 million in the hole by the end of the 2019 by the summer of 2019. We have, I think it's something like 244 million in overall debt. It is a dire situation, and it's understandable that I've been shot down for improving our youth facilities, and I will press on. I will still continue to look for regens. That's going to be the long-term goal. Bring in young 16, 17, 18-year-olds and then develop them a little bit, sell them at a profit, and try and patch things up in the financial situation. So that's more or less what I wanted to talk about, guys. Let's just briefly look at the schedule, and I'll talk about these results a little bit. They're friendlies. I don't care that much about them. For what it's worth, our form has been a little bit poor in them. We lost to Sampdoria at home. I believe we equalized right before halftime, if I remember correctly, but then completely fell apart in the second half. That was largely my fault because I did a lot of unnecessary tinkering with the tactics. Dennis Pryatt and Fabio Quagliarella scoring in the second half to really do us in. We then improved on a little bit on our road trip to Spain, certainly conceding fewer goals. We drew with Cordoba 1-1, and we beat Albacete. But if I remember correctly, Cordoba missed a penalty somewhere in this game. We easily could have lost it. I mean, and neither did we play well against, Rodri missed a penalty. And we did defeat Albacete, but I don't personally feel that we played that well. So going into this Turkish Super Cup against Beşiktaş, we're not in ideal form, guys. And that's a little bit disappointing. But it is what it is, and we'll do our best. We do have. Let's get into the game here so that we can look at the first team here and look at our team selection. As you can see, Beşiktaş are using this unusual asymmetrical formation. My scout sent me an email about this. They've been using this all preseason. I have no idea what to expect with it, guys. We faced Albacete, obviously, in our last game. Albacete also used 2 wingers and 2 fullbacks. We did win that game, although just narrowly. I have no idea what to expect. Is that Vincent Abubakar? I think he played for Porto last year, didn't he? I believe so. It looks like they have Gökhan Inler as well. So, really strong Beşiktaş team here. I would really like us to get a result, but I have to admit there's a part of me that's a little bit pessimistic that we will. So let's get into the team selection here. We have Muslera in goal, and then we've selected Cavanda and the new acquisition Ramon Mota as our fullbacks. I'm hoping they can do a job. Again, with that inverted wingback role, it's a bit of an unusual situation I'm putting these guys in, but it goes with the overall idea of clogging up the opposition's midfield and then launching the ball out to the wings when we are able to collect possession. At any rate, we do have Sheju and Semi Kaya in at center back. Ahead of them in the midfield, Selçuk Inan and Hamit Altintop. Nigel de Jong has been dropped. He's not necessarily been playing very poorly, but as I mentioned in the last episode, guys, he doesn't really segue into either the roaming playmaker or deep-lying playmaker role. He's not particularly well suited to either of them. As you can see, he's passable as a roaming playmaker. But really, he's not. Well, we're actually looking at defensive midfielder, so let's switch that over. But again, really only passable as a ball-winning midfielder, and he can adequately sort of come in as a substitute. But for a player of his reputation, I doubt he'll be content to sit on the bench. So I am planning on moving him later in the transfer window here, guys. At any rate, finishing up the team, as I mentioned, we have Podolski and Linus on the wings, Schneider at attacking midfielder, and Aaron Derdiak in at striker. One thing before we do get into the game, guys, as I mentioned in the last episode, we have some problems with injuries. Tolga Sigerci, who's a really promising looking player who can fit into that deep lying playmaker role really well. If we just go over here, we can have a look at his suitability. He's perfect suitability for it, and he can play roaming playmaker adequately as well. So as soon as he comes back from injury, guys, I think he's somebody that I'll really be looking to use, and I may try and blood him in this game. My assistant has told me he's ready to go. Use him. I'm a little nervous about that. I'm not keen to aggravate his injury when we have a few other options in central midfield. So let's submit the team, guys. Aaron Derdiak is lacking in match sharpness and may struggle to see out the match. Well, then we'll substitute him. That's fine. If he's lacking in match sharpness, the solution to that is to give him more match time, isn't it? That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I am planning on bringing on Sigborson at some point. I can't choose between these two teams, and it may well take a shootout to separate them. Really? And we're considered favorites down here. Look at that, guys. This is not what I would have expected. I really anticipated that Beşiktaş would be coming out as heavy favorites in this game, given that they're the league champions. And also, it shows up here, we're us as the home team, but this is actually at a neutral venue. We're playing in Konya, which is in central Turkey. So a bit of a trip for both fans of these two Istanbul clubs. But we don't have home field advantage. It's at a neutral venue. I'm a little surprised that we are being tipped as favorites, but I won't complain. Okay, so we have a tunnel interview here, guys. You're about to take charge of your first match. Can you sum up your feelings? I'm very excited. I really want to win this competition. It's Derby Day. How do you look forward to taking on your local rivals? So this is something that I was asked about by the press earlier in the week as well, and I really tried to downplay that this game has any more meaning than any other, and I'm going to repeat that here in the tunnel interview. Is a win in the Turkish Super Cup of exceptional importance, or the kind of match you go without pressure to... Well, I'd like to win it. With the Turkish Super Cup acting as the season's traditional curtain raiser, does it offer your side the opportunity to lay down a mark for a long campaign ahead? Yes, it would be very nice if a good start to the season helped our early season play. All right, so here we are. The Beşiktaş have gone with this asymmetrical formation. Again, no idea what to expect from it. Gökhan Inler not playing, as my scout had suggested he might. Which is just as well because he's a pretty decent player. Let's continue to opposition instructions, and I always leave that for my assistant guys. We're expected to win. I don't feel we're expected to win, and I'm really hesitant to... Okay. Let's, I guess, try and motivate them then. If this backfires, though, I'll be very upset. Good, it's motivated them. All right. Well, I'm pleased with that then, guys. Let's tell the players that we believe in them and get out there on the pitch here, guys. I have faith in you. All right. Let's get things started. Apologies for that there, guys. I left the sound on, but I've muted it now. I noticed that there was a little bit of background noise for episode 1, and so I'm just going to mute the in-game audio entirely for this and try and cut out all that clutter. So Podolski's now in possession on the left wing, Hamid Alton top, and Selçuk goes by his man. His pass is very errant, intended for Derdiak, and Tosic clears it away. I can't read his name. Ali Lone on the left wing. That's a great tackle by Selçuk. Just dispossesses him. Looked like he was blindsided, maybe. Schneider. Ramon Mota plays it ahead for Aaron Derdiak. Beck cuts it out. Hutchinson, Tolgay, Karim. And Talisca now. We are shutting these guys down, which is good to see. One of the problems that I noticed we were having in the preseason was that there was a lot of space available to players, and they were getting off long distance shots that were really troubling our goalkeepers. As we get away with a tackle back there that could have been a yellow card. But Linus won't get away with that one. He's gone in the referee's notebook. Hutchinson, Talisca, Tolgay. Long distance shot. That was on target, but Muslera was equal to it. Corner now. Ali Lone. I can't read his name. Sheju heads that away, and it's another corner. Few chances early on for Beşiktaş, and we've just reached the 7-minute mark. That's a poor corner that Selçuk cuts out, and he's gathered possession. Can Derdiak chase this down? No. Hutchinson gets to it first. we need to create some chances here, but we're looking defensively sound, which, as you'll remember from the last live com we did, we were quite defensively sound in that game as well. Tosic gets away with it. We've struggled to control. We're committing too many fouls. I'm going to leave both of those guys. As you know, Kareem had a chance there, but Ramon Mota intercepted that and came to the rescue. What I was going to say, guys, is you do get pestered with a lot of unnecessary advice from your assistant during the game, and as most experienced FM players know, you do just have to ignore most of it, because a lot of it's garbage. Some of it's relevant. I always check. But mostly, just ignore it. Linus, that's a dangerous tackle. He was in the box, and he's on a yellow. That could have been disastrous for us, but clean in the end. And the ball goes back to Muslera. This highlight hasn't ended. Schneider runs into Hutchinson. That's so frustrating when you have a counterattack like that and then you just run into the attacker. Abu Bakar with a long-distance goal that was a little closer to the post than I would have hoped for. Made me soil my britches a bit. Just kidding, guys. I have a very good constitution in that department. Mota in the book now. That was very nearly on target. I think that was only inches over the top. Muslera. So early on, we're defending well, although having multiple players on yellow cards is a little bit concerning. We don't want to be playing a man down. Hamid again runs into a Beşiktaş central midfielder, and they've collected possession. They're counterattacking, and again, they've nearly scored. All their shots have been from distance, which is a relief to see. We do have a fairly congested area here, and that's probably contributes to that as they score. It looks like Abu Bakar. Yes, Abu Bakar scores from the top of the box, just as I was saying that we were defending well. Curse of the commentator, and we're trailing Beşiktaş now. Upsetting to see, guys. Very upsetting. They had committed a lot of people forward, though, so all credit to them. Beşiktaş look like they're playing a positive game. And, yeah, that's just poor. We really needed to shut that down. No, I want us to keep tackling hard, even if it's at the risk of giving of going down a man because of a ejection. I just showed my Americanism right there, calling it an ejection. Oh, Podolski, I thought he'd taken the ball away from Alione. That's a shame. Abu Bakar goes right around his man, and Muslera to the rescue. What can I say? Best player on our team for a reason. Under the cosh here, as Shemi does well to head that away, and Derdiak may have a little bit of space if anybody else joins in this attack. He has Linus on his right. He takes him. Linus. Go on. Whip that in. And instead he has it tackled away from him. That's dreadful. Tolga Zengin, their goalkeeper, hasn't really been tested thus far today. Abu Bakar is not a good finish, but it's another gilt-edged opportunity for Beşiktaş. And we're really being outplayed here in the first half, as I was concerned we would be. But I suppose we can be grateful that it's only 1-0. Podolski now in the book. That's 3 of our players on bookings. And again, they miss a chance. This time, Talisca putting the ball over the bar. Well, let's just get this into halftime here, guys, and see if we can Inan in the book. At some point, I will have to listen to my assistant's advice and untick get stuck in, because this is we're headed for a 10-man situation. That Talisca really should have scored there. He had a lot of space. Good shot, blasted to Muslera's right, just missed the post, but only by a whisker. We have not been good enough so far, and I think we do need to get stuck into the players. Before I do that, I do want to make a substitution. we're obviously going to have to take off one, maybe two. Should I make two substitutions? Let's do it. Let's do it. Do I have an option for replacing Mota? I do. Hakan Balta can come on. It's a shame. I'm a fan of Mota. He's not been brilliant, though, at a 6.4, and he's going to have to come off. We can't afford a red card. Did I not tick it? I must not have properly clicked it there, guys. Sorry about that. There we are. And I think I'd like to bring on... Oh, it's a shame to use Tolga Sigurci when Alton Top, I think, is going to really be struggling for condition by the end of the game. But I think we do have to take Inan off. I could also use Sarıoğlu. Let's do that. Let's bring on Sarıoğlu for Linus. Although Linus has played better than Podolski has thus far. I'm not sure. Let's just do it. Hopefully I won't regret it. So Sarıoğlu, he's relatively well suited to the defensive winger role, which is good. But if we bring up my coach reports, oh, they're not available in game. That's right, I remember that. We can't see the coach reports here, but he's not. We can take a second to look at his profile here, guys. He's well suited to that defensive winger role, but he's just not very good. His attributes are just overall pretty low. So that's why he's a reserve, and he's really, I've never considered him for the first team. Good player to have around in case we do have bookings to our wingers, as we do in this circumstance, guys. So let's get back to it. Let's get back into the game. Let's try and whip these guys up. I'm a little bit sort of between two minds as to whether we want to really give these guys the blow-dryer Alex Ferguson treatment. Let's see what these options are here. Keep playing the way you have been and the result will come. So I've gotten decent results from that instruction in the past. Not today, though. That's all right. That's all right. It's okay. As I say, guys, it's going to take a while before this team sort of respect my authority, so to speak. This is a high-profile team, and I'm really sort of a low-profile manager, and that's the inevitable consequence. At some point, I will need to make a change in our mentality as well, as, you know, being a goal down, being on defensive, not ideal. I expect Beşiktaş will try and park the bus. Was that Şeju on the header? No, that was us nearly conceding. So, continued poor play here early in the second half. Hutchinson goes in the book. Is that Galatasaray's first player to go in the book? I think it may have been. We have not got enough shots in. I guess let's make that change, and I'll look and see what I just did in instructions. I'm going to leave that. Wow, okay, so Beşiktaş clearly have gone more defensive because there have been no highlights thus far. That's not true. There was that one early on, but for about 15 minutes consecutively here, there's been no action. So, let's go into instructions here, guys. We do need to make a change. Let's go control. See, why did shoot on sight just come on? I don't want that on. We'll turn that off. What else can we do? I suppose we could also modify the roles. I don't want to do that too early. Because every FM player knows you can't mess with your tactics too early. Otherwise, the players just get confused. They just start running around on the pitch. They become just zombies. They don't know what's up and what's down. Alton Top now in the book. Well, now I should take him off, shouldn't I? Do I want to use my last substitution now? Why not? May as well. I'm sure he's quite tired, additionally. Doesn't look like we're going to fight our way back into this game, guys, which is disappointing, but as I say, the board won't be terribly upset. Derdiak on a 6.2. I said I was going to use Sigborson, and I'd really like to still. with all these midfielders on yellows, though, I suppose the logic should be if we don't create goals in the front, it's not going to matter if we're playing with 10 men. So let's continue to rest Tolga Sigerci, and we'll bring on Sigborsson, who, by the way, I discovered earlier, guys, is actually a better fit for the poacher role than is Aaron Derdiak. The reason I prefer to start Derdiak is just because he's significantly better attribute-wise. But Sigborsson is a good little reserve to have here, and who knows? Maybe he can be the hero for us today. That would be delightful. Shall I leave? I'll leave making role changes for later, guys. Go on, boy. You can do it. There's much more to come from you, and I believe you've got what it takes. Deep in thought. He's not reacted to that. Oh, well. Beşiktaş. Is that right? Totally controlling midfield. Tosic is gone in the book. I'd be surprised if this game if this game finishes with 22 men. All right, we have a chance here. Hakan, well wide. And he may have had a chance to bring that down as well, guys. That's very disappointing. Well, let's do it. Let's go overload, guys, and let's... Actually, I don't think we need to make any substantive... we will turn on shoot on sight now, just because we need to get back into the game. And as soon as these changes go through, I'm going to update our formation here, guys. Tactics. So first of all, let's switch these guys over to wingers. We just need them to abandon any defensive responsibilities at this point and go for it. Winger attack. There. Okay. Let's also change up the wing backs, set them to attack. And let's make... Sorry if you can hear that in the background, guys. There's some bunch of kids yelling outside my house. I don't know. These ruffians. I'm sick of these kids coming and telling me. Let's switch Hamid over to advanced playmaker because he can do that as well, and he's not been particularly impressive as a roaming playmaker thus far. All right, time to get back into the game here, guys. Hopefully we can do something here. I'm starting to lose hope, to be honest. It's been a tough game, and Beşiktaş have clearly been the better side, as I had anticipated they would be. Again, I'm happy that we're only down 1-0, as they do have a corner here, and they'll waste plenty of time in so doing. Headed away, I think that was Selçuk. Schneider with the tackle. Gives away possession immediately, though. Talisca with the foul. It was a handball. And now Shemi Kaya. Is that 5, 6 cautions thus far for us? I think it might have been. Kavanda, great tackle. What has he done to just whip that out of play? I don't know, guys. Talisca, Cenk puts it off the post, gets his own rebound, scores. It's 2-0, and that'll be the end of the game. Well, as I said at the outset, Beşiktaş just at a higher level than we are. Empirically better players, and we have not been in good form. As I say, that has partially been my fault. As a 7th Galatasaray player goes in the book, and they've made it 3-0 at the end. It's a demolition. I'm trying not to feel or sound dejected at the moment, guys, but I feel this is pretty unfair given that we were relatively compact and played relatively well for the first half. Admittedly, we gave up a goal halfway through, but Podolski on the ball, and it's full time anyway. So we've lost, guys, and we've lost in pretty spectacular fashion. I did obviously go overload late on, and so giving up those 2 goals is understandable, but given that it was a cup match, I knew that it was do or die, a winner or go home. So had to pull the trigger, and I did, and we lost. And fair play to Beşiktaş. As I said, they were the better team. I do think we were unlucky tonight, and I'm not gonna really bollocks the players. I think we need to sort of head into the start of the league and try and hold our heads high as much as possible. Despite, I'm satisfied with the performance. The players tried their hearts out. Don't need to demoralize anybody. How many yellow cards was that overall? Maybe I do need to rethink the plan of getting stuck in, because it's in many ways it's miraculous that we finished with 11 men, guys. Cenk Tosun with the injury time brace, not ideal. But we're running over on time here, guys, and I think we could all use a stiff drink after that resounding defeat against Beşiktaş. Just looking forward, I think we are going to skip the Kasim Pasha game at the start of the Super League. Not a particularly high-profile fixture, and it's only two matches away. So I think we'll be aiming for something more in this region, maybe when we go back to this exact same stadium, Konyaspor Stadium, or perhaps before that, Gaziantepspor. We'll see, guys. I'll make a decision, and we'll see you back here for episode 3. That is it for today, guys. Please like, please subscribe, and please come back for episode 3 of Galatasaray, the Giants of Istanbul.